you at an air base in Saudi Arabia. An Iranian drone has destroyed one of the most valuable planes the U.S. military owns. There are only 17 of these aircraft in the world. My goodness, we've been at war for over a month, and I'll tell you how Iran has changed tactics. Plus, Trump claims the deal with the Persians is almost closed, but there's a catch. Let's get to it. To understand this recent attack, you need to know what an AWACS is. It's basically a Boeing E-3 Sentry, that is, an aircraft based on a standard 707 passenger plane to which they've added an umbrella in case it rains, which is mostly a giant rotating disc on top, right? 9 meters in diameter, which also serves as a long-range radar. That is to say, this thing can monitor 120,000 square kilometers of airspace at once, and it can track up to 600 targets simultaneously from the ground to the stratosphere with a radius of 400 kilometers. So this little piece of crap parked over Saudi Arabia is watching you if you come from Tinan, which is in the middle of nowhere. And it doesn't just see things, it also directs. Onboard controllers can vector fighters towards their targets, coordinate air defenses, and pass the information to the Pentagon in real time. So it's like a control tower, but in the air. Well, then on Friday, boom, a side drone, one of those low-cost models, split in half one of these top-tier Yankee planes at Prince Sultan Air Base, which is about 100 kilometers southeast of the Saudi capital. In fact, the images show the aircraft literally split in two, with its radar dish lying on the asphalt next to the fuselage. But not only that, this attack also took out in-flight refueling tanker planes, and as a result, boom, 12 American soldiers are injured, 2 of them seriously. This is a massive screw-up for the Americans, as it could affect their ability to control fighter jets and direct them towards their targets. Keep in mind that the United States has 17 of these planes in total. That is, fewer than those high-tech Independence Day bombers, the B-2 Stealth, of which there are only 20. And each umbrella plane costs around $540 million today. So, a crappy drone worth about 20,000 Iranian dollars has caused them a huge problem. Besides, these hat-wearing critters have been in service since 1978, and their numbers have slowly dwindled. And right now, there's no other ready replacement. So if you lose one, it's gone for good. Well, and do you want to know the best part? That according to analysts, Russia probably gave Iran the exact coordinates and satellite images of where the plane was parked. I mean, Putin's people, with all the mess they have going on in Ukraine, found a little gap in their schedule to help out their colleagues, the elephants from Age of Empires. But wait, because this AWACS thing isn't an isolated incident, huh? Or a stroke of luck. It's the tip of an iceberg of a tactic that Iran has been silently developing for weeks. And at the beginning of the war, I don't know if you remember, Iran started firing massive salvos, that is, hundreds of missiles and drones at once, saturating Israeli and American defense systems. While that tactic didn't last many days either. Iran began to ration its ammunition supplies, a development the U.S. and Israel announced, claiming that the Persians were running low on munitions and that victory was extremely close. But it seems Iran wasn't actually firing less because it couldn't, but rather was rationing its salvos and targeting high-value strategic objectives, since in recent days the main U.S. radars in the region have fallen, refueling tanker planes, and now this AWACS, which is a big deal. So Iran is no longer trying to win by quantity. It's targeting the eyes, ears, and nervous system of American aviation, in case it gets the idea of deploying ground troops. And meanwhile, to keep Israel from getting bored, it keeps throwing cluster bombs at its cities. Something that's a huge problem because these mini-bombs are almost impossible to intercept by Israel's defense system. Not to mention that Arrow and Patriot interceptors are extremely expensive, and right now there's a shortage of them in the entire Western world, meaning they can't be replaced overnight. There's a waiting list, kid. And while this is happening with Iran, the conflict is expanding, as 20% of Lebanon's population has been displaced because Israel wants to conquer the south of this country from the Litani River to its own northern border. And this is a huge move because in that territory Israel wants to seize there are 2 UN bases where Spanish soldiers are deployed. So they might soon find themselves caught in the middle of a crossfire between Israelis and Hezbollah militants. And as if that weren't enough, the Houthis from Yemen have joined the conflict after weeks of preparation. This weekend they launched missiles against Israel for the first time since the war began, though Israel claims to have intercepted them. But be careful, because they are threatening to close the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb. If we keep this up, we'll run out of straits, man. And this place, believe me, is also hugely important, as 20% of all global maritime trade passes through it, then entering the Suez Canal to reach the Mediterranean. The markets obviously didn't like this, and Brent crude has already risen again, now at $107. Oh, and experts estimate that Europe will feel this oil trade blockade by mid-April. The United States, with its own huge production, will be among the last to notice, so they're relaxed. But in the end, they will definitely feel it. Or else, just ask the folks with money in the stock market. They've been in free fall for days. France has called an extraordinary G7 meeting this week with economy and energy ministers and central bank governors. It's the first time it's been organized in 50 years, to see if something can be done so this crisis isn't a disaster. But don't worry, Crazy Pizza, because I have good news. Or so Trump said. And from Air Force One, he has informed reporters that Iran has agreed to most of the points in the 15-condition plan that the United States presented to them to end the war. Furthermore, negotiations are progressing extremely well, and Iran has sent, as a gesture of good faith, 20 large oil tankers filled with crude oil to begin circulating this Monday. There are both direct and indirect discussions, and Pakistan will be organizing a bilateral meeting in the coming days. Oh, Mom, well, that's great, isn't it? But obviously this doesn't quite fit with what he said afterwards. He commented things like he'd love to take Iran's oil and it would be cool to seize Kark Island, since the United States has many options because Iran has no defenses left there, so it would be a piece of cake. So I don't understand anything. If they're making a pact, why the hell conquer anything? Don't forget what I mentioned in the last video. The Yankees have amassed 50,000 soldiers ready for this mission. In fact, the Pentagon has already stated they're prepared for weeks of ground operations. As if that weren't enough, Iran's army threatened this Sunday to attack residences of U.S. and Israeli military and political leaders in the Middle East. And they have said that if American soldiers appear there, they are going to become food for the sharks of the Persian Gulf.
All right, Lechero, is Iran really negotiating with the U.S.?
Well, man, I have to tell you there's news, huh? Because the Persians have admitted that there are already messages to intermediaries, but they still deeply distrust the Yankees. Although I also tell you, we don't know who from Iran would be negotiating because their new Ayatollah still hasn't been seen. Is he alive or dead? What the hell do I know? Meanwhile, Spain has closed its airspace to planes participating in Operation Epic Fury, including those flying from bases in the United Kingdom or France. Besides, neither the Rota nor Morone bases are available for fighter jets or refueling. This is what the next video will be about, so I won't spoil it for you, and you'll understand why the United States has 2 bases in Spain and how long they will be here. Oh, by the way, on Palm Sunday, which is the beginning of Holy Week, the top boss of Christians in Jerusalem was going to hold a private mass in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. But then, a group of Israeli police appeared and blocked their way, prohibiting this tradition that had been practiced for centuries. Of course, this has really infuriated Italy and the Vatican, who have complained vehemently. Israel, for its part, justified itself by saying there was danger due to the war, but a few hours later, Netanyahu backed down and let them through. Oh, and wait, there are a couple of breaking news stories. It seems Iran is debating whether to withdraw from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or in other words, in 1970 this country signed that it would not develop nuclear weapons, and that the UN could, whenever it wanted, conduct inspections to prove they weren't creating hacks. Well, that situation could change with this war because they see it as an injustice that weakens them and only benefits the United States. And Donald Trump has also made new declarations, well, or rather, he has made threats. He says he's going to completely destroy the electrical power plants, the petroleum wells in Kark Island, which is in Iran. And as a bonus, he's also thinking of blowing up their desalination plants. He's warned that the only way to prevent this destruction is for Iran to sign those things they're negotiating, which we're not even sure they are. And for now, that's how things stand, with each war player doing their own thing, preparing for what's coming. So I'm afraid you'll need to grab some popcorn. See you later, Loca Pizzas.